Hello friends, current affairs of 13th April 2023. Reports by Debt Relief for a Green and Inclusive Recovery. First report. Reports by Debt Relief for a Green and Inclusive Recovery DRGR show that the debt of emerging markets and developing economies rose by 178% from 2008 to 2022. Important report findings. The sovereign debt of emerging markets and developing economies increased by 178% from $1.4 trillion to $3.9 trillion between 2008 to 2021. Global South is staring at a debt crisis, but the common framework created to provide debt relief has serious shortcomings. ETMEs are seeing weakened economic growth due to a slow recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as high food and energy prices fueled by Russia's war in Ukraine. Escalating climate impacts have added to the financial burden of these countries. A strong US dollar and depreciating currencies for many ETMEs have exacerbated the problem. These shocks have weakened economic growth and ballooned debt burdens. The author of new report called for a reform of the common framework. Debt relief for a green and inclusive recovery. The Debt Relief for Green and Inclusive Recovery project is a collaboration between the Boston University Global Development Center, Heinrich Boll Stiftung, and Center for Sustainable Finance, SOAS University of London. Objective is to advance innovative solutions to address the looming sovereign debt crisis. The very next report, UN Democracy Fund. UN Democracy Fund extended support for NGOs funded by George Soros, who is on a watch list in India. United Nations Development Fund, United Nations Democracy Fund was established in 2005 with an initial contribution of $10 million each from the United States and India. In 2005, India's then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and US President George W. Bush announced the UN India Global Democracy Initiative, which included support for United Nations Democracy Fund. It was created by United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan in 2005 as a United Nations General Trust Fund to support democratization efforts around the world. Objectives here is to support projects that strengthen the voice and participation of civil society, promote human rights, and encourage the development of democratic institutions and processes. It is funded entirely by voluntary contributions from member states and is governed by the advisory board composed of 16 members representing different regions of the world. Exercise COP India 23, the very next report. The announcement for Exercise COP India 23 between the Indian Air Force and the United States Air Force was made. Exercise COP India 23 is a bilateral air exercise between the Air Forces of India and the United States. It will be held at Air Force Stations Arjan Singh, Panagar, Kalai Kunda, and Agra. Japan will act as an observer. The exercise aims to enhance mutual understanding between the two air forces and share their best practices. It will involve transporting aircraft and special forces assets from both the air forces. Both sides will fill the C-130J and C-17 aircraft with the USAF, that is United States Air Force, operating an MC-130J as well. The Indian Air Force IAF is set to field its frontline fighters Su-30 MKI Rafale and indigenous light combat aircraft along with force multipliers, with the US Air Force is expected to bring in F-15 fighter jets. Livestock Insurance Scheme, the very next report. After the Parliamentary Standing Committee pointed out zero insurance coverage of livestock in 2022-23, the central government is considering a comprehensive livestock insurance scheme modeling the Prime Minister's Fasal Bima Yojana. The proposed comprehensive livestock insurance will replace the present livestock insurance scheme. Less than 1% of country's cattle population is currently insured, with the average yearly premium at 4.5% of the insured amount. The proposal waive off premiums for cattle rears from scheduled caste, scheduled tribe communities, reduce premiums so that more farmers can enroll the scheme, ensure maximum coverage of livestock to protect them from pandemics such as lumpy skin disease. Livestock Insurance Scheme. Launched in year 2008-9, it is centrally sponsored scheme implementing agency Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries. Kumbum grapes GI tag. The very next report. Kumbum grapes recently earned the geographical locations tag or GI tag. Kumbum paneer Trachai, Trachai, also known as Kumbum grapes, is a variety of grapes grown in the Kumbum Valley located at the Western Ghats in Tamil Nadu, India. The grapes are medium to large in size, compact and suitable for making wine, spirits, jams, canned grape juice and resins. Introduced in Tamil Nadu in 1832 by a French priest, these grapes are rich in vitamins, tartaric acid, and antioxidants and reduce the risk of some chronic diseases. Mahatma Jyotibai Phule birth anniversary. The very next report. The Prime Minister has paid tribute to the great social reformer Mahatma Jyotiba Phule on his birth anniversary. Jyotirao Phule was born on 11th of April 1827 in Maharashtra, India. He belonged to the Malay caste of gardeners and vegetable farmers. Phule was greatly influenced by Thomas Paine's books, The Rights of Man, which led him to advocate for liberty, egalitarianism, and socialism. He believed in the enlightenment of women and lower caste members as the only solution to combat social evils. He was a prolific writer, and his major publications include Tritya Ratna, Gulamgiri, and Shet Karaicha Asud. He established the Satyashodhak Samaj in 1873, which means seeker of truth, and aimed to attain equal social and economic benefits for lower caste in Maharashtra. In 1848, he and his wife Savitribai opened the first indigenous-run school for girls in Pune, where they both taught. He established an ashram for young widows and became an advocate for the idea of widow remarriage. He worked towards abolishing untouchability and caste system in Maharashtra. He passed away on 28th November 1890 and his memorial is built in Phulewad, Pune, Maharashtra. It is believed that he was the first person to use the term Dalit for the depiction of oppressed masses, often placed outside the Varna system. Very salute to such great personality. Guru Tej Bahadur, Prakash Purab. The very next report. The Prakash Purab of Sri Guru Tej Bahadur, the ninth Guru of Sikh, is being celebrated on 11th of April. Prakash Purab is term used in Sikhism to refer to the birth anniversary celebrations of the 10 Sikh Gurus. Prakash means illumination or light, while Purab means day. Guru Tej Bahadur was born in Amritsar in 1621 to Guru Har Gobind and Mata Nanki. Tej Bahadur writings are housed in the Guru Granth Sahib as 116 poetic hymns. He founded the town of Chaknanki and played a key role in setting up preaching centers throughout the Indian subcontinent. However, he was executed in Delhi in 1675 under the orders of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. REITs and INVITs Index. The very next report. NSE Indices Ltd, a subsidiary of National Stock Exchange, launched India's first ever real estate investment trust, an infrastructure investment trust index. The new index aims to track the performance of REITs and INVTs that are publicly listed and traded on NSE. The index will be reviewed and rebalanced every quarter. The weights of securities within the index are based on their free float market capitalization, subject to a security cap of 33% each, and the aggregate weight of top 3 securities is capped at 72%. The top constituents of the 90 REITs and INVTs index include Embassy Office Parks, REIT, Power Grid Infrastructure Investment, REITs. It is a company that owns, operates, or finances income generating real estate. Most of them are publicly traded like stocks, which makes them highly liquid, unlike physical real estate investments. It is modeled after mutual funds. REITs pull the capital of numerous investors. This makes it possible for individual investors to earn dividends from real estate investments without having to buy, manage, or finance any properties themselves. Now, INVTs. These are mutual fund like institutions that enable investments into the infrastructure sector by pulling small sums of money from a multitude of individual investors for directly investing in infrastructure. These are set up as a trust and registered with SCBI. State development loans. The very next report. Four states raised Rs 5,800 crore through state development loans, auctioned about one fourth of the amount 15 state governments intended to raise in the upcoming days. State development loans are dated securities issued by states for meeting their market borrowings requirements. Purpose is to meet the budgetary needs of state government. The higher the fiscal strength of a state, the lower will be the investment rate yield it has to pay for SLD borrowings. These are securities and they are auctioned by the RBI through the e-Kuber, which is a dedicated electronic auction system for government securities and other instruments. RBI, Reserve Bank of India, holds SDL auctions once a fortnight. The rate of interest or yield of SDL securities is determined through auction. The interest rate will be slightly higher than that of central government securities of matching tenure. The investors in SLD are basically commercial banks, mutual funds, and insurance companies that are attracted by the slightly higher interest. Cost Inflation Index current fiscal year. The Income Tax Department has notified the Cost Inflation Index for the current fiscal beginning April 2023. The post the Cost Inflation Index number for the current fiscal year 2023 to 2024 is 348 as per a notification of Central Board of Direct Taxes CBDT. Cost Inflation Index is notified under the Income Tax Act 1961 every year since 2001 in the month of June. But this year's CII is notified 3 months earlier as compared to the last fiscal year. Taxpayers will need the CII number at the time of filing income tax return next year as 2024 to 2025. Cost Inflation Index CII. This is number used to adjust the purchase price of assets on the basis of inflation. These numbers help an individual to ascertain the inflation adjusted current price of an asset. This helps in calculating capital gains from a transfer or sale of capital assets after taking inflation into account. 56th session of UN's Commission on Population and Development, the very next report. In 56th session of United Nations Commission on Population and Development held at New York, Deputy Secretary General warned that the goal of achieving quality education for all by 2030 is seriously off track. Currently, around 263 million children and young people are out of school in the world. Nearly 70% of children in poorer countries cannot understand a basic text by age 10, mainly due to chronic factors such as poverty and malnutrition. The situation of women and girls in Afghanistan is severe, where they have been banned from high school and university. Comprehensive Sexuality Education (CSE) empowers girls to avoid unintended pregnancies and encourages both genders to stay in school, among other benefits. Most of countries are facing a triple crisis in education, one of equity and inclusion, quality and relevance, to equip current and future generations with the skills they need to thrive in a fast changing world. UN Commission on Population and Development. A population commission was established by the Economic and Social Council in 1946, which was renamed as the Commission on Population and Development by the General Assembly in 1994. The Commission is composed of 47 member countries. Thank you. Have a cheerful day.